This video is sponsored by Atomstack. Hey y'all, welcome back to House DM. I was recently reached out to by this company Atomstack to review one of their products, and I have to admit, I was a bit reluctant. I've sort of taken a break from making videos and I don't know much about lasers, save for... well, yeah. And I certainly haven't done any laser cutting before. My initial impression was that this might be a bit too complicated for me and just not the right time due to real life getting in the way, but Atomstack reassured me it's quite beginner friendly and I have been needing something fresh to stimulate my imagination. Also, some of you might remember that this channel started out as a crafting channel, and while I don't make a ton of videos about it anymore, I do still craft. Atomstack was generous enough to send me one of their machines at no cost, which is very kind of them. And I immediately started thinking up all of the cool ideas of how I could use a machine like this. Now, before I show you, let's see what this piece of equipment is all about. The Atomstack A24 Ultra boasts a rather spacious 365 by 305 millimeter or 14 by 12 inch working area. It's suitable for entry-level users and comes with a gorgeous orange safety cover. If you know me, you know I love my orange. Now, the laser is a 24-watt high-powered diode and can operate at a maximum speed of 600 millimeters per second or 23.622 inches per second. I hear this is good. It also comes with all manner of accessories, including this neat steel honeycomb tray, so I could use it directly on my folding table without worrying about burning through anything. I also snagged this air assist, which is quite useful, but turned out to be mostly overkill for the thickness of MDF wood I'll be cutting. Alright, now remember, I have never used a laser cutter before. I didn't even know what light burn was or how to use it, so for this first project, let's do something really simple. We're just going to cut a 1-inch diameter circular base. When I framed this beautiful map of the North Holds, the frame I snagged came with this 3mm thick MDF backing that I've pretty much just been upcycling to use for cutting bases for some terrain projects. We're going to use the leftover of that as my base material for this video. Now the first thing to do is start up Lightburn, and I'm going to select the ellipse tool. I hold down shift to draw a perfect circle and then change the settings of said circle to 1 inch by 1 inch. Next, we're going to change my material thickness, the speed, the number of passes, and then frame it on my material. This framing feature is pretty cool because it helps to make sure that the laser cuts where the material is within the housing itself. Since I'm not using like a giant fresh piece of material, I'm sort of just reusing whatever scrap I got laying around. And then once we've done that, we can double click to start. Once it's complete, pop it out, and look at that. We got a perfect circular base. Pretty neat. So a lot of you found my channel because of my Minimalist DMs Toolkit video, and I'm going to show you a cool idea I had that will definitely be making its way into that kit. Basically, we're going to take these 1-inch bases and add some images to them and make some monster tokens. Funny enough, this is also my first time using Affinity Designer. I just Googled some basic vector art as inspiration and did my best to recreate it here. I made 2 crossed swords and a shield to represent fighter types, some arrows for ranged, a skull for undead or other scary spooks, and some arcane runes for any sort of magic user. The creation of these images took like 3 or 4 hours because I did have to keep looking up how to use specific features in Designer. But yeah, I think they came out alright. The cool thing about this is I could always make more if these 4 generic pieces become stagnant. I think the next design I'll go with is some sort of animal track or paw print for nature creatures. But these will do for now. Next, I saved these images as .png files so the transparent background remains and then dragged them into Lightburn. I already set this up to save some time, but after double checking the order and ensuring the material is in frame, I can hit start. And these came out not bad, honestly. If you got any cool ideas for something else I should engrave on the tokens like these, please let me know in the comments down below. And now lastly, I wanted to try something a bit different. Many of you have seen me use this little scrap of leather both in my videos and at the table. I call this a static compass since obviously it doesn't point north unless I make it. I made this using a wood burner, but now that I have this piece of equipment, I wonder how it does with engraving leather. Once again, I bopped into Designer for a couple of hours to make myself a compass rose. I'll need to adjust some settings since I don't want it to cut through the leather, except for the outside circumference. Now, I haven't tested this like the others, so let's see if it works. So not quite. I'll have to try again on a larger piece of material. I think that's been one of my biggest challenges is that I'm using all of this like scrap parts, but these details look great. I think if I were to do this again, I need to decrease the speed for the outer cut since it didn't quite cut all the way through, and possibly increase the speed slightly for the engraving of the compass itself. And boom, this is perfect. I can't wait to swap this out with my older ones. There's a couple other things I'd like to name that reflect my experience with this piece of equipment right out of the box. First off, Atomstack claims that the A24 Ultra comes pre-assembled, and while this is mostly true, I did need to mount the laser myself as well as hook up a couple wires and a hose. While yes, this is minimal assembly, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's pre-assembled, but I did do some research on this, and apparently some of these machines have required you to like feed wires through the frame and all that, so Atomstack did most of the more difficult tasks for you. The orange safety housing also came in 5 separate pieces that I had to assemble and screw into the laser cutter itself. This wasn't that big of a deal, but I do recommend reading the instructions carefully to make sure you use the right screws. One of the screws on one of the orange panels was a poor fit because of the manufacturer's threading, and I had to screw it in at a bit of an angle. So yeah, that's annoying to people who pay close attention to the details, but not a deal breaker. And lastly, the instruction manual was not the most useful. It does come in a ton of different languages, which is great, but I still have all these pieces and parts that I'm not using and don't know what to do with. My guess is these are for accessories, but why are they not just included with the accessory itself? Anyways, just some small gripes about the setup, but overall, simple enough. So I know this video was a little different than usual, and if you made it this far, truly, thank you for watching. I hope to return to a more consistent stream of content sometime next year, and I hope you'll stick around and join me for that. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider following me on Patreon, and if you'd like to get a deal on your own Atomstack laser cutter, details are in the description box. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.